all right, great people. We are back. We are back. Last week, we had Fourth of July, so we had a holiday, and then we had some family things I had to handle this past Thursday. But tonight is something special because I got a good friend of mine, and and she had definitely posted she had a post, and then she was like, "Chi, we gotta talk about this." And she said, "You wanted you to talk about it, And I was like, "Okay, okay." I said, "Well, you got to come on here, and you got to come on here and give me your take. This ain't just cheesesteak on here. You got to get the whole take." So she is in the house tonight. My wonderful, amazing friend Kiana. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So
Thank you,
it's a
thank you, thank
pleasure.
you for having me. I appreciate it. Yeah, that conversation just couldn't go without more opinions.
Okay.
I talk to a lot of people on a regular basis, and that conversation was one that just really it struck me. It really
Okay.
did. And when I heard the young man speak about it, and I'll tell you how we got into the conversation here in just a second. But when
Okay.
I heard him say what he said, it kind of just put some thoughts in my head. It just made me think, because we hear all the time about um what it means to be a man and what a man's role is. Of
Mm.
course, we hear about women as well, but I was talking to a young man at the time, and I'll tell you the story real quick. I mean, it's nothing extravagant, but um a young man found me on Clubhouse. He reached out to me on Clubhouse because he was interested in learning how to trade, just getting some
Okay.
one-on-one coaching and things like that. And anybody that I teach or that I mentor, I always do like an initial consultation. And so in our initial consultation, we ended up staying on the phone for about an hour. And this is a young man I've never
Oh
met,
wow.
don't know him, anything, but we were able to really hold a conversation for about an hour because it was just that interesting. And he's young, like he's maybe, I think he said he was 23,
Oh wow. Yeah,
about
you
22,
definitely young.
23 years old. And so in the conversation, of course, I asked him, why did he want to learn how to trade?
Okay.
Trading is a skill set that I think everybody should learn. But
Right.
he had heard about it. I had never heard about it when I first before I got started. But
Right.
to know, this generation and they're learning about these things, I want to know, how are you getting this information? Or, how did you even hear about it? And what makes you want to do it?
Right.
And so I asked him that question, and, 22, 23 years old, he pretty much just said that he wanted to be able to provide for a family. He doesn't even have a
Okay.
family yet. He's not married. He said that he wasn't even in a relationship, doesn't have any kids or anything, but
Okay.
he's planning for the future.
Right.
And so he said that he wanted to be able to provide for a family.
Right.
So in that, I mean, I found it, I was just so intrigued by that, and him being so young, and the reason that he gave. Young people, you would think that they want to buy Lambos, and they want this big house, and they want to go on these lavish vacations and things like
And
that.
some
But
do.
yeah, they still do. Yeah,
Right.
I
Right.
do. I do.
Right.
But when he said it, that's what I was kind of expecting to come out of his mouth. But the first thing he said was he wanted to be able to provide for a family. And then of course he named some of those other things as well, which, I'm glad that he wanted those things. I want young people to want things. And so like I said, it just kind of, it struck me. And so when he said he wanted to provide for a family, we got into the whole, what does that look like to you? So I need to give me some numbers. Like what does that, because he's calling me for pretty much financial advice. And
Right.
so I want to know, what are your numbers? I always ask everybody, what are your numbers? Like,
That's the
what
key.
can I help you accomplish? Because I can help you accomplish a lot, and I can help you accomplish a little bit. Everybody's goals are different. So I always want to
Right.
know, pretty much what your goals are. And so he said, I want to be able to provide a lot. And so he said that he wanted to provide. So somehow we got on the subject of what it means to be a man. And he said that, a man's role is to provide and protect.
Right.
And, we hear this all the time.
Right.
All the time we hear that a man's role is to provide and protect. And so I wanted to hear from this young man what his thoughts were on what that means. Really just trying to fill him out a little bit, just fill him out and how I can really help him. So, like I said, we talked for about an hour, and I got to just understand his background, and just the type of environment that he's in was very similar to the type of environment that I grew up in. Public school. I never lived in like public housing or anything like that, but I was really close. All of my friends were, in housing developments, and you can just imagine the area, kind of dilapidated houses, and you got your corner store and things like that. So
the corner store, okay,
the corner store, yes. And so we were very similar, and I think that's why we were able to stay on the line on Zoom for as long as we did, because we could really connected. And so when I asked him about providing and protecting, I just got really, I wanted to hear just his thoughts. And so I said, what does it mean? I said, because I hear that a lot. I said, what does it mean to you when you hear somebody say, or for you, what does it mean to provide and protect? So we went straight to protect. We went straight to protect. And this young man, again, 23-ish years old, he said, man, listen, if a man came up to my woman, and I'm just kind of paraphrasing.
Right.
If a man came up to my woman and he disrespected her, I'm going to have to get at him. So his version of what it meant to protect was, if a man disrespected his woman, he's going to do something about it. I guess get violent, let the man know you're not about to disrespect my woman, because if you're disrespecting her, you're disrespecting me.
Right.
And, on the surface, that made sense. I mean, I don't think that as a man you would want anybody disrespecting your woman.
Right.
But as I've gotten, and full disclaimer, I'm 43 years old, single woman, and I'm single because I'm not married, divorced. I have two amazing children.
Yes.
And just having gone through life, and having people around me and seeing different situations, what I know is everybody's situation is different.
Right.
There's no one way to define what it means to provide and protect. But I wanted to hear from him. And when he mentioned that protecting meant to pretty much put somebody in check if they disrespected his woman, I was like, okay. I hear you. Like I said, I wasn't trying to tell him, well, no, that's not it, or yes, that's it. I just wanted to hear from him. And so, he asked me what did I think it meant.
Okay.
And and I'm like, okay, let's get into it. So, having been divorced and, coming from a single parent household, I was raised by my mom only. My dad, I spent some time with him, but it was more like summers and holidays and, things like that. And so I never really had that experience as a child growing up, having a father to protect, and then I got married to somebody who was similar to my father in a lot of ways, but he was a protector and a provider. So somehow I dodged that bullet, and not get, being with somebody who wasn't a provider or protector.
Right.
But to me, what it means to protect, and we'll get into provide in just a minute, but what it means to protect is protecting a woman, protecting her heart, protecting her mind, her soul, her peace, things like that. not necessarily protecting her. I mean, that too, you know, protecting her from physical harm. You know, nobody wants that to happen. But that wasn't the first thing that came to my mind. But having gone through some, you know, just having some experiences, I know that what would have made me feel a lot more protected in this type of environment, in the world that we live in right now, having gone through a whole lot of stuff, I know that as a woman, what would have made me feel more protected, you know. And so I kind of told him that my version of what it means to protect is to protect the house of, obviously, from physical harm, but also to protect a woman's heart, because we are women and we are naturally emotional creatures. It is just, we're just made up that way. We just are. But we also went into, and this isn't, you know, me saying that I know everything or, you know, whatever. I really wanted to get on here because I made the post and I wanted to hear other men's opinions. And I did get some other men's opinions, other husbands, you know, friends that I know and everything. They did kind of post the same thing. You know, you protect your woman mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. And that's what it means to protect. And that was kind of my take on it as well.
Okay.
But so I'm on here, and I wanted to get on here because I wanted to hear from men, and I knew you had a platform of men, and you guys do this every week, and I get on and I enjoy your podcast. I enjoy the banter. I enjoy, you know, kind of the back and forth, you know, you guys go through. But I wanted to hear what you guys thought what it means to provide and protect.
Okay, so that's the question, guys. So what is it for a man, right? We're given this title to provide and protect. What does it actually mean? All right, so we're about to dive into that. First off, before I always start anything, always give honor to God for providing this platform, for blessing my life, blessing my friends here, my family. So I always pray for you guys. So I always give him honor and glory first and foremost. So I'll start off a little bit, and then Fish, Palmer, my main man, Palmer. I ain't seen you in a minute, man. I know you've been traveling, doing major things. Kiana, this is Damon.
Hello.
Nice to meet you. He jumped on, you know. So to provide and protect. I mean, that's such a broad. There's so many different answers to that. You know, you're probably not going to get. That's like almost saying, you know, what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? I mean, it's just, what answer do you pick? I think the consensus of it, I think, and any male will tell you just like that. Yeah, you want to protect, you know, your wife or your girlfriend, your sister, any woman in general that's part of your life, right? That's a big part of it. But I think it's protecting the household in general. That includes everything, and that's just comes from. I think I don't know if it's just genetically or if it's just how we were raised from generation to generation. Going back to in history, men have always been tasked that role to protect, right? To provide. You know, when traditionally, even now, when people get married, they take, you know, the man's last name. You know, the woman takes the man's last name. You know, become a household. The kids got the last name. So his name carries all these different titles with that, right? Not so protect or provide is just falls under that umbrella of your name, of the name that you have as a family. So I think for me, it just like and any of the guys here in a second, you guys to jump in, but in my opinion of it, it's just when we're talking about providing and protecting, unfortunately, today's society, it's a little different now than a traditional way of things. And I think that's where you're going to find a lot of different things. A lot of women now make a lot more money than men. Right? A lot of women now have more different titles than men. A lot of women now are, you know, they're strong, independent. They got all the stuff they need, and, you know, all those other things. And so a lot of times, you know, a lot of men may feel like, how am I going to be a provider? And there's a lot of men feel a certain way about that. If my wife make more money than me, right? She made more money than me. How do am I still the man in the house with the respect that's there, right? That comes with that title as a protector and a provider. And a man will start feeling a certain way, like, okay, does she really need me in this area, right? She may not need me financially because she can handle it. But I think it just comes, again, that's a self-esteem thing that society's always kind of placed us in. And so how do we finagle through that with the whole providing part when, your spouse makes more or your girlfriend makes more, so that's something, like I say, is different than the traditional way where, when we say, I bring home the bacon and she fried kind of thing, that's the traditional way of things. But times are different now. And I think this is a good conversation because I think things are different now because, society's different now, right? Women are not just sitting at home no more. Now, women don't, I'll be honest with you, when you see in the totality of things, I mean, a lot of women, they can handle a lot more now. They've been holding it down for so many years. So for a lot of men, it's like, okay, which role am I coming in? You know what I'm saying? Like, where do I stand in the whole, the whole total picture of providing and being there and protecting my family, right? It's good to be the alpha dog, and like you say, the young man was talking about, if somebody says something to my girl or something to my wife, yeah, I think that's anybody in general. If somebody says something about me to my wife, she'll handle it too. So I think that comes just in general. But I think a lot of times where we are now in society, it's just different now. I mean, that title is great and it's what we have, but there's a lot of women now who get married and they don't necessarily take their husband's last name. There's a lot of things that when we go back to if you want to talk to spiritually, the Bible talks about it. That's where the traditional part of the man being providing, and and the Bible says a man has to provide for the household and provide for the woman, that kind of thing. And it doesn't mean that a woman is less than, but with society now and everything changes, right? Technology and everything different now. I think the roles are different. I think the roles are different now, where you can't go in now with this whole I'm the man of my house thing to the point where you just that ain't running the way it used to no more. That maybe back in the day you might be able to do some things like that, maybe. But traditionally now, it's just you got to be able to be an equal partner, which you should always be. But more so now, where these roles are being switched. Maybe it's just me, but what I've noticed now is a lot of roles are switched in society now. To me, I feel like a lot of men who would think you would traditionally, be protecting and providing, ain't really stepping up, right? There's a lot of dudes ain't really stepping up. A lot of dudes who just kind of okay with the women taking care of them, or the women, you got your own this, and what. There dudes now, they'll tell, maybe me, and y'all can tell me, but I know dudes who just say, well, if she ain't got her own this, and she ain't got her own that, and if she don't do this, and she don't do that, now I'm fool with her. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the roles are so different now that my take on it would be, it's just different. Do I believe in the traditional way of things? Yes, but at the same time, we also have to be very mindful of traditions itself change. And if you just stuck in that old way, you're not gonna make it. You know what I'm saying? That's right. My take on it. Go ahead, Fish.
Let me throw this in there too. This is something that he kind of mentioned as well. So so I asked him, about the emotional part, and I said, do you think that it is a man's, not necessarily his job or his role, but do you think it's important for a man to protect in a way when it comes to a woman's heart, because we are emotional creatures? And he said, nah, she responsible for her own emotions. And that made me think as well.
Well, yes.
So let me get at it. So these days and times, youngsters are different. So a lot of them don't really know. They would go off of what they see. Now his response of saying that she had to protect her own, that's her emotion. She had to be able to control her own emotions and all that kind of stuff. the reason why that is, once again, is because of the age of the times that we're living in, the way that things are, like she was saying, as far as a lot of these traditional things are not there anymore. So, me personally, a man needs to provide not just by financially, but a man needs to provide a safe space for a spouse. They need to provide a safe space. They need to provide peace. That's the things that they need to start off with, because if a woman is not, forget your physical. Yeah, it's easy to physically protect someone. That's easy. But to protect their heart, like you were saying, to be able to protect their peace, and that's going as far as knowing that you're gonna come home at night. They have to be able to know they can rely on you. They can
Predictability
rely.
brings trust.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So they have to know that what you say you mean. These
Right.
are all things that come into play when you're talking about providing and protecting. Like I said, once again, it's easy for me to be able to protect my wife physically. I don't have no issue with that. To be able to guard her heart on certain situations, to be able to be that safe space for her, just like she is for me. So it's a thing of, she protects my ego more than anything.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Men need their ego protected. They need that thing of feeling
Right.
like they that dude, they that guy, they that provider. That they need that. We need that. I ain't gonna say just
Right.
say they. Yeah, I need that.
That's
I
true.
need to know that
Right.
that's how you
Right.
feel about me.
Right.
Just like
You're right.
she needs to know that she is that person for me. She is that safe space. She is that peace of mind. She is that when I see her, I can give everything to her as far as emotionally, everything that's going on with me. I can go there with her. She needs to know that. So the days are different. The provide, the protect thing is different for each individual. It's not just a, like, this is what it is. It's not that
Right.
no more, because you got different people with different perspectives, different relationships on and different ways they go about handling their situations. But like I said, for me personally, it goes deeper than just a physical or just a financial.
Right. And how you were
Right.
taught too, right? No, Demond, you jump in, but it's how you were raised with that, right? Some people never had a father in their life. A lot of dudes don't
Mm-hmm.
have dads in their life. You know what I'm saying? It's the difference between a dad and a father. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's two things right there. You got to understand, right? A father is somebody that has the title, right? That's somebody that brought you in this world. They has the DNA running through you. Your dad is the one that show up every day. That's the one
Right.
that sit you in your room when you don't act up. That's the one to provide. That's the one to come home and put all kind of structure in it, right? That's a dad for you. So once you distinguish that in a
Yeah.
household, a lot of people don't even never even seen that. So that young
That
man is just something they got to
yeah,
learn.
that's the one that'll teach you how to actually speak to a female
Yeah, they'll teach you.
Right.
in
Yeah,
the correct way, to
right,
know how to get what you need out of that female without demeaning her. Without That's a real man. Without demeaning her, without down talking, without trying to put her in a so-called place.
right.
If you don't know your place, how you gonna put somebody in there?
I agree.
Right.
Well, it's like we always say that the true meaning and value of a man is what he does when he has everything, right? That's how you treat your woman, right? That's the true
Facts.
value of whatever you do, right? You will not, when you have it all, let's see how you treat her. Do you leave her? Do you get your mistress, right? Or do you pack it in and you say, you know what, baby, you rode with me all these years. You're riding with me. Let's ride this thing to the top. The value of a
Yeah.
woman is what she does when a man has nothing, right?
Right.
Because we look at that as a man. Like, okay, if I'm down, if I'm down and out or I got stuff going on that I'm not on my top of my game like I should be or I used to be, are you still gonna love me the same? Are you gonna still respect me the
Right.
same? Are you
Right.
still gonna treat me the same? You know what I'm saying? Am I still the man in your life? Like Chris saying, do I
Yeah.
still get to protect you? Or are you looking at me a little differently because the money a little different or the
Right.
situation a little different, you know? So all that stuff factors in when you're talking about providing and protecting, because we got to get to a place
Mhm.
now where, like you say, like Chris, we can't just it just ain't a one way like it used to be, right?
Nah.
Like you need two incomes to live nowadays. You can't
And
come tell that
that
woman so she bringing home just as
yeah.
much money as you now. She
And
running
and
things
that
in the house like you running.
that's
It's the
exactly what
truth.
I'm talking about, because me and my wife went through a moment where for a whole year I didn't have a job. Couldn't
Mm,
find one, kept looking, couldn't get one, everything. I went for a year like that. She protected my ego.
that
Cause
part.
I'm in here
That part
and
right there.
these walls closing in. Cause I'm like, man, I ain't never been without no job. I said,
Mm-hmm.
why wait till we 8 years into our marriage and all of a sudden, boom, I ain't got no job. And not like I said, I was always used to, if I didn't have a job at a moment, that I was able to get one within a month or something
Word.
like that.
Right.
But to go a whole year, like I told them before, I was in a place to where I actually was getting sick of that guy coming on that doggone commercial talking about what you doing with your life. You ought to just go to ITP Tech and all that, all
In
that
the
kind of
middle of the
crap
day, right? In
going
the
on.
middle of the day. He come
It's
on
the
about
middle of the
12,
day.
right? About 12 o'clock.
You
He
know
be
what I'm
on
saying? And I'm
TV.
like, man, this dude really getting on my nerves, man. You know what I'm saying? If I see this cat, it's on site for real.
About to
Because
have me going to DeVry.
yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Which I probably should have anyway. But but uh
That's cool.
but to be in that place, and then my wife steady coming in, and she never downed me.
Right.
She never
That's
downed
it.
me.
She didn't
She
put you
she
right.
never, like, she would
She
come
stayed the
in.
she stayed the same, which was,
She stayed
you
the
know what I'm saying?
same,
She
and,
didn't
and she
change on you. Yeah.
she she would
So
ask me how's the job search going, but if she asked a certain way and she got a certain reaction, she wouldn't ask no more, because she knows that I'm trying, I'm looking, I'm
And it
I'm trying to do
frustrating
this
and she
thing,
don't poke the bear,
and I'm
so to
frustrated.
speak.
You know what I'm saying?
Right,
She knows
right.
I'm frustrated because she knows what I'm used to being able to do. So, like, once I finally got a job and everything, and then she ended up, her job played out, so she had to stay home.
But let's go ahead and say this right there while you're saying that, Chris. I don't want to lose this right here. And a
Yeah,
lot
yeah.
of women have to hear this as well, because you had the men telling you this. We may not show certain emotions. That doesn't mean we're not going through things. And
Right.
because we might be dealing with something, if somebody, here's how a man feels, real talk. When we on top, we feel like we kings. You know what I'm saying? But when you go through something in life and you're not, like, you lose your job, or some deal didn't fall through, and things in finances ain't a certain way.
Hmm.
It's nothing better than your wife to take that crown, because you see, you kind of feel a certain way with your ego. Like Chris said, you got to take that ego. You kind of put that crown down because you're feeling a certain way, and all you
Yeah.
want is your wife or your woman to take that crown and put it back on your head and say, you know what, King, you still
Yeah.
there. You know what I'm
You
saying? That's
can
all we
you can
want.
get it.
We don't want you to do
Yeah.
nothing else. And what you don't need in a situation like that is, well, what you do today? How many applications you put in? Is that all you did
Uh,
today? Like, you got to give a breakdown of the itinerary. Sometimes when somebody say,
let's
I
talk
can take
about
a
that.
walk.
Let's talk about that. Like, where do you think that comes from? Like, why do you think women respond? Well, not even in that situation, but just the you kind of mentioned respect early on. Like,
hmm.
where do you the lack of respect that women have for um the man that they're with? Where does that come from? Is it always from, you're not making the money? Is it always the money, or could it be something else in your opinion? I can give you my opinion, but I wanted to hear from you
Palmer,
guys
what you
and get
got?
what
What you
you
got,
think.
Palmer?
Yeah, you got it, D.
It's a generation swap, right? old generation, we stood behind our men, and through thick and thin, new generation, it's influenced by different people where you should be this and you should be that. So you're not really looking at it. You're not really looking at it full heartedly and just supporting that man. You're looking at somebody else's situation and instilling in your situation, your thing. So that's why it's
Yep.
not the same. That's why.
You start comparing, and that
Yeah.
happens a
Yeah.
lot. That
Yeah.
happens a lot with
So you're
households.
comparing.
You're comparing.
It
That
it,
happens
it,
a
it
lot.
happens. It happens a
More than you
lot.
think. And that's
And
not old generation. Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
nah, and I I hate to say it. No, I don't hate to say it. I'm gonna take that back. I don't hate to say it. A lot of times it comes from people who have not given their all in their relationship to go and try to influence somebody else's relationship. You don't even give all of yours in your relationship, and you want to go and mess somebody else. Misery loves company, so
Mhm.
you want to go and mess somebody else up.
It's
I'm gonna be
true.
100 because a lot of times some of the worst advice is going to be given from someone
Who's unhappy?
very unhappy.
Yeah, and better
They're
yet, and it
very
comes in an
unhappy.
argument. You ever hear about arguments about it? Well, Jessica and them over there.
Oh
Whoa.
man,
Oh, wait a
man,
minute. So now
hey,
you don't compare Jessica
that's
and her.
that's
If Jessica's husband could get a job and he
yeah,
doing this, and they
yeah,
over here,
yeah.
that alone lets you know you're looking. Wow, you know what I'm
But
saying? Like their
but what
situation,
what you
you don't
don't
know
know, what you
exactly.
don't know that is that Jessica's husband's been cheating on her for about 10 years already, and
Boom, and
she
she didn't
cool,
tell you that. She
Bless
and
didn't
her
she
tell you that
heart.
cool,
part,
she cool with it. She good with it because
and
he's
she
still
don't tell you
bringing
that
home that
part.
check, but she don't tell you that part.
Right. That's true.
But
All right.
I ain't being messy. I'm just saying.
All right, so Curtis,
I'm
so
just
Curtis
saying.
White put in here. All right, I really want to comment, y'all. He says so many women come with that attitude of "What have you done lately?" But also, us men have to build up a bank of earned respect to expect respect in hard times. So
True.
It
That's
you
fact.
makes
know,
sense.
Yeah,
makes sense. So
that's fact. You don't know what somebody can do for you until they show you.
Hmm.
right, that's
Point
true.
blank and period. Over the time, you gonna build that up, just like you build up with not just relationship, but just with friendships. If younger days, if you got in a scrape out there in them streets, I'm just say that. I know Chi wasn't in the streets, and he a good dude. I I
Let's
know
keep it
me.
that way. Let's keep it that way.
Yeah. If I got out there and I was which happened, and I'm out there and I didn't had to get into a scrape or whatever, whoever stood with me, I would know how they are with me. If you broke out and took off running, we ain't gonna be friends too long. Cause I know for one, you ain't gonna provide no backup, and you ain't gonna protect me in a fight. We can go back to the provide and
Listen,
protect right there. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? So even in relationships, if that man has not shown some kind of consistency of being one a provider and then two a protector, then that woman is not going to look at him the correct way, and
right.
vice versa. If she's not showing that man that she can one protect his ego and two
Protect his
a
heart too.
protect his heart, but
Let me ask.
provide peace for him, then it's not gonna work.
Let me ask my special guest a question. Let me see how I'm gonna phrase this. What are
Oh
you
yeah.
looking for? What are you looking for in a man from providing, protecting you per se, individually?
Me personally,
Hmm.
Correct.
so I mean, just some of
Good
the things
question.
that you already mentioned. Just for me, it's not a hard thing. You know, just understanding that I am an emotional creature. That
Hmm.
sometimes I may need you to, um, just bring me back down a little bit. Just bring me back down in a certain way.
Hmm.
Not in a disrespectful way, but
Correct.
understanding that I am an emotional creature. But he did bring the guy, the young man that I was talking to, he did bring that up about the emotions, and he said, "No, she's responsible for her own emotions," which I agreed with. You know, I really agree with him with that, because I don't think we talk enough about emotions, and I think sometimes as women, we get a really a big pass on the emotional side of it, when we really have to be we have to practice emotional intelligence. That's something that we
I like
just are
that.
not taught at
Emotional
all in
intelligence.
the Black community. We're not taught emotional intelligence. So
Right.
we just we winging it. Pretty much our whole
Right.
life, we're winging it. And you know, if we had that skill set, because I think it is a skill set, something that you have to learn and that you can take. I think you should be able to put that on a resume. You know,
Man,
strong emotional intelligence.
that
That's
that
a whole
goes
nother
that
show
goes
right there. That's a whole
that
nother show.
but you know what,
Emotional intelligence.
that goes with men too, because
Right.
men don't know how to be able to release. Well, men are not taught that it is okay
Okay
To
to
be
release.
vulnerable.
Right. To be vulnerable.
to
Right.
be able to talk, release some, you know what I mean, to release these things,
Right.
because we are taught as young men,
To be tough.
stop that, stop that crying, stop doing that,
Right.
you know, you got to be a young man, you walk on, you little punk, you know, all that kind of stuff, when really in the real world, this young man is going through something emotionally. Another man, me personally, I'm just saying it, not a female, because it's easy for a female to do.
Mm-hmm.
Another man needs to be able to come up and, hey, what's going on, man? Let's talk. What's happening? What's going on with you? Nah, it's okay to get it out. You know, come on, let's get it out. But we gonna work through it together. What's going on with
Right.
you?
We come up with some
Is
solutions.
We
Right.
is
don't get
is
that.
is your significant other or your situationship or whatever the case may be, are they responsible for your emotions every time you have outbursts?
Absolutely not.
Nah.
Absolutely not. And I think like that's something, like I said, we just don't talk about enough. And I think if we talked about it enough
Right.
and we made that a prerequisite before we even get into a serious situationship or whatever we're in,
Yeah.
that's something that needs to be discussed. You know, how do you react in a situation like this? And just give a random scenario and just see how they respond. You
Yeah.
know,
It-
again, me
It's
personally, just not every time. It should be few. I mean, as you go and as you grow, it should
right.
be less and less that they have to do that, or that you have to do it for one another. It
Yeah.
should, if you're really wanting to grow and build with a person, like I said, as you grow, it should become less and less. And I think we see that a lot with older couples when, you know, they've been together 40, 50, 60 years, they just brush a lot of stuff off. And I think
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
because of the experience and because of the growth and because they understand that, like, listen now, I did this when you was in your 20s.
Right.
We in our 60s now. I ain't got time for
Right.
it,
Why you
you
keep
know?
doing the same thing?
You
Yeah.
know what I'm
But
saying?
I
You
think
know,
Because
but
social media.
it's not called group control. It's
Right.
called self control.
right.
You
Exactly.
you need to
Exactly.
start trying to but once again, that's something that needs to be established early.
But
Mm-hmm.
I think
I done been with you when you done went off. Hey, we need to have a talk about that, because you were out of line. You went too far.
Mm-hmm.
You need to
see.
know
And you know
how to
what? Women, like, honestly, women,
I'm
we
speaking on men, because
appreciate
my
that.
wife didn't have to get me on that one.
Right.
You know what I mean? My wife didn't have to tell me, hey, come here. No. Let's go talk, because yeah, you out of line. What's going on with you?
Mm-hmm.
But that comes from years of having to bottle stuff up and not let it out in some kind of
Oh,
way. You
But
know what
I
I
think a
mean?
lot of it now, guys, see what you're talking about is a traditional way of things, and that's good
Yeah.
value systems that we all have. But you have to understand now, with society where it is and social media and stuff, what that young man's
Hmm.
talking about is what he see all the time. And I've seen people that's in our age
Yeah.
group, people that are younger, even a little older people now, right? That they just got societal wise, has watered down a lot of those value systems. So where you would protect and provide and say certain things, there are dudes now who will hit a woman in a minute and be like, you know, she hit me first. So, I got to protect myself. Of course, like you say, emotional intelligence means that, okay, you know what? I can't put my hands on nobody. But even if I do, back in the day, or just how we were raised was just a little different. You understand, a man was, physically bigger and stronger. And so even though we were supposed to have more self-control and expect her to have the same, it didn't go that route. We didn't put our hands on nobody like that. This generation in society, and I'm not talking about this generation. I've seen dudes in our generation now that wasn't even raised that way. They'll sit put their hands on these females now. They'll sit here and talk about these females now. They'll sit here and do things now and back it up, right? And they'll go on social media and put a whole video on it, right?
Yeah.
So you don't provide and
it's
protect.
more it's more in the
different
forefront now. It's more being seen now
because of social media,
because of social media. But we all know that it's been a bunch of situations where you knew that dude was over there putting his hands on her. Right. We knew it, but it wasn't just out there like that.
Right.
You knew some things was going on because things was meant to not be out there. You know what I mean? I've heard a bunch of stories of man, you ain't know he been whooping on her for years, or vice versa, or she been she been handling him for years. You know what I mean? But he's a mild type cat. He's a mild dude, so you know what I mean. It don't bother him. He deal with it until one day he done mess around and done had enough, and then it really get bad. You know what I mean?
That plays a lot into the why women get the rap right now of being masculine, because for one, just in the scenario that you mentioned, we have to protect ourselves in more ways than one. Like I can say that I've never been in an abusive relationship, so I can't say what I would do or wouldn't do in that situation. But back in the day, because men were providers, women were still staying, even though they were getting their head knocked between the wash and the dryer.
Right.
And I don't, I can't say, like I said, I just know for myself right now, that's not something that I would be able to tolerate. Now, if it was back in the day, I don't know what I would have done, but who I am now and who I've grown to be and who I've put the work in to be, that's just not something that I would condone or even recommend for somebody. But there's some woman out there telling another young woman, and usually it's, and I don't want to offend anybody, but
no, it's our people. Say it. It's our people.
It's women in the church telling
young
women, you need to stay with him. Oh, you just stay with him. Divorce is you're gonna be condemned and all of this stuff because of divorce. You're gonna go to hell and all of that stuff. And so we have these strongholds that are coming from the church and telling people that stay with the man even though he's doing all this crazy stuff to you.
Right. That's you trying to dress something up that's not it.
Right.
You're trying to dress something up that's not true. You know what I mean? That's like I heard someone say something as far as, okay, you before you go to church, are you supposed to get right? Are you supposed to get right before you go to church? If that be the case, you'll never go.
Right.
Or do you go to church to get right? You understand what I'm saying? You dressing something up,
man.
You dressing something up.
Values the church that set us way back.
It set you back.
Religion, okay.
It's
that's a whole nother show, but there's a whole lot of
because
religion. That's
now for people to tell someone to stay in an abusive relationship or whatever. I don't care if it's mental or physical. For someone to tell someone to stay in something like that, why stay in it? If that person never feels the threat of you being gone, that person ain't gonna never change. They're gonna stay there and take that.
But that's again, like she said, that's another show.
That's a whole nother thing.
If you get divorced, you're going to hell. So because you have these strongholds, you're going to stay in something, even though it's not good for you, even though it's not helping to, helping you to grow and develop. It's just keeping you stuck right where you are, and it's probably taking you some steps backwards too.
Right.
Yeah,
So
because
that's kind of an issue. It's an
you
issue, and
you you you've lost yourself. You're not. I don't believe that you're supposed to lose yourself in any kind of relationship. You're not
right.
supposed to
Right.
lose yourself. Now,
But we need to.
if anything, some great things should be enhanced coming into that relationship. But you don't need to
True.
lose who you are. You don't need to lose the. You was a strong person all throughout high school and college and whatnot, and then you get with somebody and you just some little weakling and
Yeah,
nobody
you mild
recognizes who
manner.
you
Yeah,
are.
mild manner. Yeah,
You,
yeah.
that's
Right.
not cool. Me and my wife went through things to where um I had to kind of like dumb myself down a little bit because if I did get to a place, I would come off and say some things, and I had to get to a place to where I understood. Okay, I need to pick my spots. I need to pick my spot.
Right. You choose
But
your
that came
battles
that
in life, right? You
right
got to
that
you
that
pick your
but
battles.
right, but that came from someone on the outside seeing. Hey. Once again, bring that down a little bit, man. Hey, let's talk about it. Yeah, it's a way to say that without coming across a certain way. But
But
I mean, I don't know.
it goes
I'm
both
just
ways, man. I
it
mean,
goes both ways. But
I
getting
think we need to.
here's the thing I love about the conversation that you was having with the young dude. The fact that he was willing to have the conversation. He was asking questions. He wanted to
Mhm.
know.
Curious. Yeah.
A lot of these cats just come up and they just think that they know everything
Right.
because
But
they
they
getting it
think it's
from
on
the
social
wrong
media, on the
source.
internet. Then
Yeah, man, this stuff that's be on social media nowadays, man. A lot of this stuff, man, it's us that's battling against each other. I don't see no other race doing that, bro. I don't see nobody else doing that. I'm
yeah,
glad we had these conversations because we don't get to see a lot of this conversation right here. We don't get to see a lot of it because
and
everything put out there is negative. We
right,
don't get
Majority of
along.
them.
We don't like
Yeah.
each other. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? That high value this, high value. Come on, man. I'm like, I mean, I get it. You want to go into a partnership with someone, with that's kind of equal to you. But if y'all gonna spend the whole time competing, it ain't worth it.
right, and just to to kind of take it to both sides. A lot of conversations I've been involved in, a lot of conversations I hear a lot. We do talk a lot about what men say, what men do, how men react, how men should say things, how men should react, act, and otherwise. And I think it has to go both ways, right? Because you got to look at it statistically speaking. Women file for divorce more than men, right? Does that mean every woman in every situation goes through something crazy? No, right? It's actually documented. A lot of divorces come from irreconcilable differences.
Differences, yeah.
Something happens, some go through, it didn't work. But I think it has to be on both sides of it. I think both sides of the ball we got to look at, right? It's
Mhm.
easy a lot of
Mhm.
times. We always look at the men, right, for what men need to do, what we need to fix, how you need to treat her, how you need to react to this, how you need to do this. And like Kiana saying, emotional intelligence is that a lot of women got to understand too. You can't poke the bear and then all of a sudden act like, you can't poke the bear and then act like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he would say this to me. And oh my God, I can't believe, you know what I'm saying? Like, but
Right.
when you going off and you going
Yeah,
crazy and you say
it's
talk
all
the way you
good.
talking, then no, then all of a sudden the conversation goes from why you yelling at me then? Why you I talk
Yeah,
to me, don't talk at me and all this other
yeah.
stuff. But wait a minute, you wasn't talking to me when you was hollering. You weren't talking to me when you was saying all the things you saying. But
They said light
you know
the
what I'm
fuse
saying?
and then get mad at the dynamite.
Right, you see what I'm saying? So we can't we have to go from both sides of it. And I say that because if you're listening to this and watching this, everything is not gonna be on one side. You're responsible for your own emotions. And I think we all know that, right?
Mhm.
Uh, but I think like Keanu saying, I think a lot of the reason why I feel the way I feel about women file divorces more than men, and then Hadassah just put a statistic on me, 80%, is because I think there's a lack of accountability in the community for women, where when a woman decides she's gonna do something. I had a friend of mine, you know what I'm saying, he went through a divorce, he's going through a divorce, and she cheated on him, right? And all the girlfriends was like not telling her, like, girl, what you doing? You know, that's crazy. They talked about that for like 2 seconds, and they spent the other hour about he was never at home. He wasn't there when I needed him. He didn't treat me this way. I needed this from him. I needed that. Wait a minute, you the one stepped out, right? So my point is, everybody have to look in the mirror, right? I don't care where every side of this spectrum you fall on. You're responsible for you. Things you say, things you do, how you act, how you react, and you're responsible enough to mature enough to know what you're doing. And I don't think that's a lot of time people cover that, right? You know what you're saying and you know what you're doing. So don't gaslight, right? And I think a lot of you do a lot of gaslighting because it's easier to put blame in other situations on a person rather than you look in the mirror and say, you know what, man, I could have handled that differently. Right? I could have handled that better. You know what I mean?
Especially in close relationships, because you know each other. And you know the things that trigger each other.
Right.
So why would you use that against me at this moment right now?
It's just ammo.
It's a powerful tool.
It's ammo. And it's like, once again, I said this before. You would rather win an argument by demeaning that person than
what does that do for your title, right? We're talking about providing for the home, protecting the home. What does that make you feel, right? As a man, how do I feel now when you make me feel this way, right? Or you say something,
right?
And it's like a lot of women be like, you know, you need to man up. You know what I mean? You need to. What are you doing? They don't know how to talk to.
Those are trigger words.
And what you have to realize too in situations like that is, and I'm not saying that, you know, oh, you need to man up, but for a man or a woman, in checking your own emotions, I really feel like you can't take things personally. And the first thing that you have to understand is when somebody is in the middle of an argument or something like that and they're demeaning you, 9 times out of 10 they're projecting. 9 times out of 10 they're projecting who they are and what they are. So you can just take that one small little thing and understand, like, you know what, you know, all right, say what you're gonna say, but I know that's how you feel about yourself. So in this moment, I'm gonna take a minute. I'm gonna let you reflect on what you got going on, and I'm gonna go in here and do whatever I gotta do.
But I will say this:
it's projection.
I will say this too: you have to take it personal. You got to take it personal.
Right.
Why is
because
that?
if it's that person that's closest to you, yeah, you got to take that personal.
It's because gonna always be the person who's closest to you, though.
But you know where it's coming from. I'm not talking about getting into with someone who you ain't laying down with. You know what I mean? I'm talking about this person.
You're taking my most intimate. You're taking one of the intimate things, maybe one of the intimate flaws, and you're flipping it on me at the wrong time to justify a situation where you want to be right, or you're hurt because I said something, and you use this as a trigger.
It's like D said before, as far as, okay, y'all upset with each other, but y'all ain't supposed to get into it in front of a bunch of people. You're not supposed to anyway.
Well, whoever controls that emotional intelligence.
Exactly.
Because somebody gonna fall because where they at, right?
I would tell you like this here. Certain people know when to start an argument, because some people just like to argue. They know when to start an argument, and they know who around to start an argument with.
Oh, yeah. They say things in public, knowing that you ain't gonna want to go off.
Knowing that you ain't gonna say nothing, man.
They gonna say that at the house. I know what you mean.
It's like a child acting up in public. They know, hey, you can't whoop me in front of these people.
Right.
True.
You know right. So you gotta wait till I get home.
Yeah.
Wait till you get home.
Wait till I get home. And on that whole time on the way home, you just as nice. You trying to
Now they want to correct their behavior, huh? Now they cry in the car.
But
Now they cry in the car. Before they acted up, right?
Yeah.
So you were saying how, you know, you have to take it personal. So how do you, because again, going back to everybody being responsible for their own emotions,
Right.
if every time you got into a disagreement, an argument, or whatever, and you took that personal, you took it personal. Like, how do you really get through this? Like, it's not always on. I mean, even though that person, that woman might be saying the meanest, most ugliest things to you, if you know within your heart of hearts that that's not who you are, like, how can you take control of your own emotions and not let that affect you? Shouldn't that be the goal?
But the reason why I said you have to take it personal, because sometimes you have to analyze yourself. Sometimes you don't see what you're doing. You don't see how you're reacting because you're so used to you acting a certain way. So if you're getting into a discussion and it turns into an argument, the reason why it turns into an argument probably because somebody done said something that really touched a nerve with you that you haven't dealt with before. You something you ain't dealt with, and you yourself know that this is a problem area for you. Right. So that's why I say when you have to take it personal, because I believe in every discussion, every so-called argument, whatever it is, there's room for growth in some
always
form or fashion. So you have to take it personal in order to either know that you can't deal with this person anymore, and at the same time better yourself. You have to be able to grow within whatever situation, whatever argument, whatever conversation that you're having.
Well, I don't know about that.
I do. In this thing right here, I'm learning more.
Right, I'm with you on that, but I'm saying I'm agreeing with you where it's personal, because if you're gonna say something to me in the middle of us having an argument, that you know it's a trigger, right?
Right.
The problem is when we say we don't know, they do know, right? We grow.
Yeah.
It's because that thing that I shared with you, whatever that situation was that we had to deal with,
was
personal. You know, I expressed how I felt in that situation. So I was vulnerable in that situation, good, bad, or otherwise. You now took that information and used it at a time to have your advantage. So you could say, okay, you know what? We're going to deflect off what you did and push it on what I did, because what I did was worse than what you did. So what you did really wasn't as bad because you did worse than me in this situation. Right. So we're not. That's
the deflection. Yeah.
That's
right. So
point.
Never just
somebody got to be to blame.
There we go. Yeah. Right. And so we never solved the issue. And I heard something that's so true. And I think this is in any situation, marriage, friendship, otherwise. If you let the thing be the thing, right? That's my quarterback, Jalen. You know, Jalen Hurts for the Eagles always say, he said, let the main thing be the main thing. And if you really put that in context, it means focus on the problem, not the person, right? The problem is the problem, right? So whatever you're dealing with, whatever triggered, whatever it is that you're arguing about, that's the problem. Whether it's the money, or whether it's a bill, or whether it's the situation, you got to put that on the forefront. If you focus on that being the problem, then what you do is you take away what you would say to each other in a situation, whether who right or wrong. Okay, you feel this way. Okay, I did something to you, or I did something, and you didn't like what was done. Well, we need to talk about find a solution to that thing, and not so you're gonna do this here. Okay, I knew you. Oh, really? So last time you did this. Oh, okay. You see what I'm saying? So now,
you're saying have a discussion, not an
about
argument.
The thing, right? But keep the main thing, right? So there's no need to put it on somebody else, even though that person may have done it, right? You just discuss the action. It's like a teacher coming to a student, right? I can talk to you about your behavior, but my main goal here, the reason why we have a discussion about your behavior is because of your grades. Because I'm a teacher and you're in my class. So your attitude, you acting up, you not doing all the things you're supposed to do, is going to reflect on your grade. So my goal with you is to simply say, okay, you know what? What do we need to do to fix this grade? How do I get you to understand? What do you need to do? Do we need to study? Do we do this? So if you keep it that way and not talk about, well, you know what? You always lazy in my classroom. You always this, that, and the other. You don't never come with your books prepared. You
Right.
never got a pen or a pencil.
What
I'm
is
saying?
what is the root?
What's the root of it? Well,
What's
the
the
thing?
root of it?
Right, we
Yeah,
deal with the root
what
of it,
is
but we
the
don't need to deal with the
main
root.
thing?
Right,
Yeah,
the main thing is what is it that it's going to take to get your grade to where it needs to be. That's all it is. No, it may be something at home. Okay, well, let's deal with that then. Why you can't? Well, man, I'm trying at home. And this way. Okay, well, let's deal with that then. And bring your parents and let's talk. Now, you know what you did do? You focus strictly on the problem and not with the student, how the student was acting when he or she was dealing with a situation. So the same thing when you're in a relationship. You got to do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Focus on the thing, right? Not the person, even though the person may have done it or said it. Focus on the thing. Why isn't we arguing? Because there ain't enough money, right? And the bills got to get paid. This how much money we got. We arguing over this, right?
Yeah.
So whatever it is, keep the main thing the main thing. So I'll say that.
Right. There's a lot of power in emotional intelligence. There's a lot of power in that. And you give that away when you start deviating from, like you said, the main thing. You give your power away when you start projecting.
Right.
And I think that's something that we like, man, I just wish there was a platform for us to do a lot of this emotional intelligence teaching or something.
Because I think we need to do a whole show on that. I think that's a good show. We need to do a whole show on emotional intelligence because a lot of people don't know.
You coined the phrase, so I believe that you need to start.
Come on, we're gonna do that show.
You did that.
We're gonna
do
that.
Did that. As a matter of fact, everybody out there that's watching right now,
we'll get on the gram and some stuff.
I do this a lot, man. I do this. Everybody out there that's watching right now, if you're in the comments and you're enjoying everything that you're seeing right now, I want you to drop a comment, hashtag emotional intelligence. That ain't our word.
I'm getting on a shirt. So
that's the young lady that's here with us tonight. She coined that phrase.
KK doing her thing.
She done started something. She started something.
Some powerful.
And I believe that it needs to be a great movement within our community because that is something that needs to be.
How many times people put their business out in the street for real, not having emotional intelligence? You just go off anywhere, anytime. Come on now.
That ain't the deal. That ain't it.
Man, when you start getting people like to say, "Hey, man, hey, come on, man," I don't know this cat, man. I don't know who this is.
But you know what?
I think this you don't reach the level of unintelligence.
Right, exactly.
You didn't hit a real bad stride right there because you done went to a place to where a lot of people that know you don't want to say that they know you at that moment.
And I agree
because you're not controlling yourself.
I'll say this. It goes hand in hand. I think, and I really believe this, emotional intelligence goes hand in hand with situational awareness. You have to have situational awareness. If you have situational awareness, it's easier for you to have emotional intelligence. So you'll be aware of where you are, who you are, what you're supposed to say. Yeah. We all have it. Because you don't go off on your boss to that level. You might say a couple things if you're mad, but you know that's going to affect that check and you don't want to get fired. So you ain't going all the way in, right? You don't say certain things in certain situations, in certain places, right? You understand how to conduct yourself. So we all have it. We don't all use it. And I think that's the key when it's all said and done, right? You have to have situational awareness so that you can project emotional intelligence. And I think that's important going hand in hand and having.
Better check them comments. We done started something. Check them comments. Yeah, we done started something. Yeah, it's a hashtag going on.
Emotional intelligence. So that's the show. We're going to do that. I know we talked about providing and being a protector today on the show. It's been an hour in, y'all. We're getting ready to wrap some things up here. We're going to be back on Thursday. But we definitely going to do this show, emotional intelligence, because we're going to get into some things about this. We're going to get into some things about how we act, how we project ourselves. When you really think you right, but you're really not right because it ain't the right situation for you to be rightly acting like that, and you ain't in the right place mentally, spiritually, emotionally to feel like you should be doing those things. But you think you're intelligent enough to understand. You think you've grown, and can't nobody tell you nothing. You don't understand. Okay, I'll leave it alone. So that's gonna be a whole nother show that we're gonna get into. That's just a little nugget of how we're about to go down when we do that show. So
and to get back to the providing and protecting, young men out there, please
yes.
speak to grown men, or speak to grown women.
Mm-hmm.
Ask them what their thoughts are on this topic, because it's, like I said, it can go so many different ways.
Right.
You have so many different people who have different, takes on it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So a lot of time is, you can have someone, that is going to be, the provide and the protect thing is going to be straight mental, straight emotional, straight, and then you're going to have those that are living in the physical aspect
That's
of
true.
just the protecting the household or providing the money. So it's a thing of, it's a deep conversation. It's a
Oh yeah.
deep meaning to those two words. So
Yes.
please, let's have
Absolutely.
these conversations.
And I got one better for you. Thursday show, I'm gonna get a little sneak peek. We're gonna talk about this in the affirmative action, what happened with the courts, with
Yeah.
that. So you don't want to miss that, because I'm probably gonna get some of
I
your
am
old fellas on here.
I am
Nate.
not in the know. I don't know what's going on right
Oh, we
now.
gonna. Oh, don't worry about it. I got you. We gonna hook that up. You're gonna see. I'm
Okay.
having a post. I'm gonna probably get my
Okay.
boy Nate and the Quan back on here with me on that one. But we're gonna be talking about affirmative action, right?
Look,
That one is gonna be.
I'll be on in the comments. You know, my daughter, she's going to play at Jackson State.
Yes,
So
congratulations. Yeah.
She right now there's no negative impact especially for athletes. She's on an athletic scholarship. So and then it
But the
just got
academic process, though, for other students will definitely be impacted.
Yeah. Yep.
And not just not in the workplace. But trust me, guys, we're gonna get into all this on Thursday. So if you like what we're doing tonight, you don't want to miss Thursday, because I'm definitely gonna call. I got a couple friends of mine, and if you think how we get down, we about to tackle this thing, and we're gonna talk about some stuff, because I like to play angel's advocate. I don't want to say the devil's advocate. I'll play angel's advocate. I got some stuff on that I've heard that I want to get my people's, my take on that. But that's gonna be fire. So that's this Thursday, same time, 8:00 Central, 9:00 Eastern. We're gonna tune in for that. We're gonna talk about affirmative action, what it means for the future, what your take is on it. Give you CHEESTAKE on it, Chris take. Kiana be in comments. I got my wonderful family who's out here listening from all over. I got family in Trinidad and Austria and all kind of places that tune in for these shows. So it's going to be live. So stay tuned for that. Kiana, it's been an amazing, amazing show today, I have to admit. It's just been a pleasure. We can talk to you in a minute. I know you're up there, you trading, do your thing. So it's been an honor. Thank you so much for being a guest on the show.
Yes,
anything before you head out, Kiana? Any comments, concerns? Talk to us before you head on out. Plug in your social media, or plug in what you do, or what do you got going on? So you go ahead and plug that in.
Yeah. So like I kind of said at the beginning, I'm still trading. I will be trading and until I don't have the mind and the fingers to trade anymore. So trading is my number one thing. Okay. I do one-on-one mentorship. I keep my group really small. So if someone's interested, I got a couple spots open right now, doing one-on-one mentorship.
So how do they reach you?
How
do they reach you? Go ahead and put out here.
On social media, on Facebook,
okay.
Kiana McConnell. That's just my name on Facebook.
So
just inbox me and let me know what your interest is, and we can work something out. And I also just created a sugar scrub that I did a soft launch on last week. I had a goal of selling 50 scrubs in a week. I ended up selling like 56. So that was an amazing feat for me, because I had been sitting on this idea for a couple years. Okay. And finally
Okay.
just jumped out there. I just did it. I was like, I don't need all this extra stuff, whatever. So I have an amazing sugar scrub. It's called Lemongrass Love.
Okay.
And it's for your face, your feet. If you do pedicures, it fades dark spots if you have a burn, if you have hyperpigmentation, any of that stuff. So same, you can reach out the same way on Facebook, Kiana McConnell. Just inbox me, and we can work something out.
On the
but
DMs,
I really
absolutely.
enjoyed. Say that again.
No, go ahead. No, I was just saying DM. If you need to reach out, go ahead and do that, guys. Reach out directly, and she'll get you all set up.
Yep. Okay. So I really appreciate you having me on, Chi. This was very, very helpful. I hope some other people were able to, get something out of it. And, I know in the future we'll continue this in some aspect. So
we're gonna have some fun with this for sure.
Yeah.
Chris, anything for your fish?
Don't forget about the cruise. We're gonna do the cruise thing.
Yeah, we got a cruise thing we're working on, guys, for next year. So we're gonna be doing the show live on one of the cruises. So we're trying to put all the details. Once we get it finalized, Mika is working on it. Mika Johnson's actually working on that. And so when we do that, we're gonna present on the show. And then you guys want to join us? It's an adults only. Let me put it that way. So, no disrespect to the kids, but we grown folk. The grown folk business out here. We don't. The kids run their mouth too much. That's the problem. These kids run their mouth. They want to put everything on social media. They want to record everything. They want to put everything out there. We grown
folks. If we get some liquor in our system, we're gonna be running our mouths.
Exactly. we grown in here. So,
but me myself, I want to thank you for coming on. Really do. Thank you for having that conversation with that young man.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's not something that happens as much as it should actually. I mean, the fact that he was open to taking some kind of
God had you right place at the right
guidance.
Time.
You know what I mean? That's a great thing. Once again, for those out there who do enjoy Cheesestake, please go to the comments, comment for us, hit the like button, hit the share button.
And we're gonna be on the gram. Yeah, we're gonna be doing the gram, y'all. We're gonna be doing.
Let us know how you feel. Yeah.
So we just got lots of things up. So it's gonna be. Yeah. We about to take this thing up some notches, y'all. We about to do some major things with this.
Don't just watch us and take all the great things that we say and go tell all the other people like you
exactly. Say with your chest, like they say. Say it with your chest. You know what I mean?
Hit that like button, hit that share button. Let it be known that hey.
Share the video when we on live, y'all.
These guys are doing some great things over here. You know what I mean?
We're trying to do something.
You know what I mean? We have great people come on with us.
Chris is a great salesman. Let me tell you something, y'all. Ain't something.
I am in sales, but
dude right there.
Yeah, I'm trying. You know what I mean? But no, on the real, we're trying to do big things around here. We're gonna continue to do big things around here.
Yes, we are.
It's not gonna do nothing but elevate. So
we don't. No topic is off limits.
Come on, ride with us.
We talk about everything here, y'all. We don't hold nothing back, and I think that's different. I think society now is so PC, and now you can't say anything. And you got to watch every little thing you say, and if you say it a certain way, look, I ain't no celebrity, and I can say what I want, when I want, how I want to, because I'm grown, and I think we all grown, and we need to say some things because I think a lot of times we bite our tongues in situations that we all know ain't right. It don't feel right. It don't smell right. It don't taste right, and we just kind of bite our tongues on some of this stuff. And I just think you need to come out. And we need to put it out here and say what it is, right? Because a lot of us feel it because we talk to each other about it, right? You know how many people feel the way we feel about some of these things? We just don't wait an outlet to get it out. And so here's a platform. You feel the way you feel, and you know it's the right thing, and it is what. And if you don't feel that way, come on, let's talk about it. So that's what this show is, guys. This is a podcast is about.
Yeah,
I don't bite my tongue.
Especially in this age of this cancel culture.
Cancel culture, and taking stuff out of books. We're gonna talk. That's a whole other topic. We're gonna talk about.
I ain't worried about that stuff. I ain't worried about that.
They doing some stuff out here, y'all. But y'all, thank y'all again for tuning in, for joining us, y'all. We love y'all. We'll be back on Thursday. You don't want to miss that show. It's like I said, we're gonna talk about affirmative action. these court systems. Y'all got to understand some of these politics. You need to go out and vote. When people start talking about, no, I don't vote, guess what? You know, all votes matter. And if you can't sing, when you see repercussions and ripple effects and stuff, it has consequences to it, real talk. So we're going to get out of here. God bless y'all. We will see you guys Thursday. Kiana, again, thank you so much. Kiana, sit tight for 1 second. Guys, we love y'all. Be blessed. And we'll see y'all on Thursday.
All right. See y'all later.
Out of here.
Subscribe.